Hello and welcome to the PowerTracks Pro Audio 2010 New Features video tutorial. In this video, we're going to look at some of the exciting new features in PowerTracks 2010. Right now, we're listening to a blues tune from our Blues Multi-Tracks collection. The multi-tracks are recordings of various studio musicians playing together, but with the individual instruments isolated so you can manipulate them in PowerTracks. I'm going to use the multi-tracks to demonstrate some of the great new Conductor Window features. The Conductor Window provides live playback control with the ability to loop and navigate through your song. As the song is playing, many single-key hotkeys are now available to control the playback and looping of the song. This is ideal for live performance or jam sessions where you want full control of playback. The loops happen seamlessly, so are suitable for a dance floor situation. In addition, you can control PowerTracks from a standard MIDI keyboard, pressing MIDI keys that correspond to each of the functions. There are over 80 conductor functions in all. We'll start from scratch with the Conductor Window by first entering some information about the song. This is a 12-bar blues tune, so a chorus occurs every 12 bars. The song starts at bar 3, so I'll enter that as section 1. The guitarist plays the melody over 2 choruses, or 24 bars, so I'll enter section 2 at the start of the soloing, bar 27. And then I'll enter the rest of the sections every 12 bars, 39, 51, 63, 75, 87, 99, and 111. And for the last section, I'll enter 121, which, as we can hear, is the ending of the song. I'll enter the section names, melody, then solo chorus 1, chorus 2, etc. and end. On a more general level, we could enter just the first chorus, middle choruses, and last chorus here. Now, say you're a guitar player who wants to control your backing band. Well, first I'll mute this guitar. Now I can control the playback of this song, starting with the first solo chorus by pressing this button. Now, to jump around in your song, you can press any of these buttons to switch to different sections or choruses. You can loop certain areas here, or move around using these go back or go ahead buttons. And this area shows you exactly when it will make the switch to the new section. The defaults are set here. And for me, when I make a section change, it waits until the next section marker to make the switch. So I could press the button to skip ahead to solo chorus 6, but it waits until the end of the section to do so. And here it's approaching the end of the section. And it skipped to solo chorus 6. Now I'm going to change the section so that it happens at the next bar instead, because I want to prepare for ending the song early. As I showed earlier, this area is to loop certain bars. Even though we're not near the end of the song, I'm going to use the looping features to make a custom on-the-fly ending. I'll get ready by pressing the loop number of bars button with a value of 2. I'm going to wait for the 5-chord to 4-chord section of the 12-bar blues and start looping. And after 3 loops, I'm going to skip ahead to the end of my song. You can see what a powerful tool the Conductor Window would be, whether you're jamming at home or using it on a gig. The next feature we're going to show you is the tempo mapping for MIDI tracks feature. This allows you to align a MIDI performance that was not recorded to a click track such that it displays properly in notation and follows the bar lines correctly, but still sounds exactly the same as how you recorded it. To demonstrate, I've loaded a segment of a Chopin nocturne. Let's give it a quick listen. Now, as you can tell, this was performed by an actual person who was not playing to a click track, but rather playing in a rubato manner. This means that many of the beats are stretched out, deliberately played out of time to give it an elastic quality. The tempo of the MIDI file itself is 120 beats per minute, which doesn't relate to the actual music at all, and it certainly doesn't appear correctly in notation. With the new tempo mapping feature, we can have the music appear to line up with the bar lines without changing the flowing nature of the rhythm. The piano part, when played, will still sound exactly the same. What we need to do is have kind of a click track on an adjacent track, which will indicate where the quarter notes should be placed in the piece. All of the notes on this track need to be middle C. There are two approaches you can take for this. The first is to record that click track yourself. I'll try that here by selecting track 2 and recording using an external keyboard. Now we select Track, Align Music to Click Track. The track to align is track 1, and the click track is track 2. We want to insert tempo changes, and we want to do the whole song. And we can see that the piece now lines up to the bar lines, and when we play it, it still sounds exactly the same as it did before we aligned to the click track. Now, if we want even greater accuracy, we can use another method. Instead of recording a click track, we can use the track itself as a click track. I'll revert back to our unaltered file. Now, first I'll duplicate the track and place it on track 2. I'll open a piano roll window and select all of the notes by dragging on the piano keyboard. Now, if I control-click on various notes, I can deselect them. So I'll listen through and deselect all the notes that land on quarter note beats. If I press delete, I remove all of the notes except the single notes that land on the beat. In the event list, it's easy to change all of the notes to middle C or C5. We can then use the same feature, this time getting an even more accurate result. Now we'll use this track to demonstrate some other new features. Now this is a MIDI track, and what we're using to generate the sounds is the new Coyote Wavetable DXI synth. During the PowerTracks 2010 installation, you now have the additional option of also installing the Coyote Wavetable DXI synth, which runs on 32-bit, as well as all the latest 64-bit Windows operating systems. DXI synths have many advantages over non-DXI MIDI drivers, such as the GS wavetable, including better sync with audio and MIDI, better sound quality, more drag-and-drop features, and direct rendering to wave. We're going to demonstrate the drag-and-drop and direct rendering features now using the new plugin mode. With the new plugin mode, PowerTracks is open as a small window and acts as a plugin for your favorite digital audio workstation or DAW, such as Sonar, Reaper, Pro Tools, and more, by allowing you to drag and drop MIDI and audio tracks from PowerTracks to the other program or to Explorer. You can simply drag the track from PowerTracks to your sequencer's track at the desired track and bar location. We'll demonstrate by simply dragging WAV files to Explorer. I can use this button to enter plugin mode, and we can see that I've got an Explorer window open underneath. If I simply drag the MIDI piano track, I can drop it in Explorer. It takes a few seconds for the Coyote wavetable to convert it, and now I've got a WAV file in my folder. You can do exactly the same thing by dragging into the DAW. If your DAW doesn't allow for the conversion time, you can first drag it to this drop station, and when that turns green, that means it is ready to then drag into the DAW. Now, this was a MIDI file that converted into WAV, and of course you can drag tracks that are already audio as well. If we didn't want this MIDI converted, we could first enter the DAW plugin options and remove the check from Drag Individual MIDI Tracks as Audio, in which case it leaves the information as MIDI. Dragging and dropping works the other way too. I can drag this audio track back into PowerTracks onto an unused track, and the track now contains that audio. Another new feature is being able to easily move tracks up or down in relation to each other by drag and drop using the mouse. For example, if I want the audio track to be right next to the original MIDI, it's easy to do. There are also huge improvements to the Audio Chord Wizard. The Audio Chord Wizard is the amazing feature that automatically figures out the chords from WAV, MP3, or WMA files. As you can see, I've loaded a new song here, and by giving it just a little bit of information, such as the beginning of the song, and tapping in a few bar lines as a general guide for the program, it's figured out the remaining bar lines, as well as the chords to the song. This now works better than in previous versions, with the program often finding bar 1 itself, and fewer subsequent taps are required. We've added a lead sheet window that shows the chords for the whole song on a single screen. This allows you to click on a bar on the lead sheet to jump to that area of the song. And you can mark sections of the song using part markers. The sections begin on a new line with a line space between, so are clearly seen. So you can then also learn the form of the song, as you can see the various intro, verse, chorus, break sections at a glance, or quickly jump to the new sections by double-clicking on that part of the lead sheet. The Audio Chord Wizard also now has better detection of chords, bar lines, and tempos. 2 chords per bar instead of 1 can now be detected, and chord interpretation is faster. You can also now edit the chords yourself by shift-clicking. For example, I'll remove this A over C sharp. And all of this information, including the part markers, chord symbols, key signature, tuning settings, and tempo map, can now be passed back and forth between the Audio Chord Wizard and PowerTracks. There are new improvements to the chords window in PowerTracks. You can now add repeats to an arrangement. If I click on bar 3 and press F5, I can enter a repeat lasting 2 bars. Those repeats display on the chords window, as well as in notation. You can also now change chords while the song is playing. Very useful for making quick little fixes. A big clock has been added, making it easy to tell your location in the song, even if you're recording several feet away from the monitor. You can toggle through bars and beats, minutes and seconds, samples, simply by clicking on the window. Some other new features with PowerTracks 2010 include a new tempo calculator. With this calculator, you can enter 2 of the 3 variables here: length of song in seconds, tempo, number of bars, and the program calculates the 3rd variable for you. So, for example, if you need a piece of music lasting 60 seconds and it is 45 bars, you can use the calculator to find the tempo that will achieve that, in this case 180 beats per minute. There's a new file import feature. This lets you easily add a MIDI, WAV, or SEQ file to an existing project. This is handy when combining media types to a new or existing project. There are new one-click options to save all tracks to individual MIDI or WAV files and save all tracks to individual WAV files. This automatically saves all of the tracks in your project individually and puts them in a single folder with the same name as your song file. There are now mixer labels for Master Effects. You can type in a label and it is shown vertically next to the volume slider, and the labels are saved with SEQ files. These and many more great new features await you with PowerTracks Pro Audio 2010.